All right, welcome back to another episode of Crackhead with a Microphone, the only podcast in the world where you hit a crackhead a microphone and you listen to him talk until you wonder if you're the high one. My name is K Rock Dizzle. Let's get into it. All right, guys, another year down the drain, another year down the books, another year down the books. I feel like every year it's always like, oh, it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy year. And like, don't get me wrong, it has. Um, but it's also hard to just remember everything that happens in one year. Like, I could sit here and try to recap all of the big headlines for the year, but like I'm not gonna remember what happened in January. Um but let's not harp on the past. I like to look to the future. I do want to just make this quick announcement. I am working on the my movie review episode. So, we review every movie that I saw. That was supposed to come out um on Christmas, but your boy didn't realize that he saw a lot of movies and had a lot of thoughts. And I didn't even get mostly through. I didn't even finish recording my episode. I didn't even finish recording the episode. And I got tired from talking. I got like halfway through all the movies I saw. Was like, damn, I've been talking for a minute. Like my throat hurts and shit. And I looked and was like, damn, I've been talking for 50 minutes. So that episode's gonna take some work. Um Also, it's looking like I'm gonna see another movie before the year ends. I'm gonna fuck around see a movie on New Year's Eve. So that episode might have to come like actual like in the new year. We'll see what happens. If the final movie makes the list, if final movie makes the list. If it doesn't, I'll just put it on for next year's list. Same thing I did this year. But yeah, if anybody who was like looking for that episode, just yeah, that episode's taking a lot out of me. So we're gonna drop this quick little like 2025 predictions. These are my predictions for what I think will happen in 2025. Nothing too serious. I'm not like predicting the implications of the world. I'm not doing anything too political. Just like general stuff that I think is going to happen in 2025. My first prediction, I think J. Cole is going to drop The Fall Off. And to be more specific, I think J. Cole is going to drop his album The Fall Off. It is going to be a surprise album drop, and it will also be his quote unquote retirement album. Um, One of the big things that did happen in 2024 was the Drake and Kendrick beef. That was pretty much the year in hip hop, for the year. And I think that once Kendrick performs the Super Bowl and takes this final victory lap over, definitively beating Drake in this rap battle the way he did, the state of mainstream hip hop is going to be in a really, really odd spot because the big three has just been one of these pervasive. Like, the reason it was the big three is because they were the three carrying mainstream hip hop. But I think with Kendrick is very, I don't want to say inconsistent, but Kendrick just drops in and out as he sees fit. Kendrick isn't the type of person to consistently drop. Drake has been the consistent dropper that's always been in the charts and always has something on radio. Drake hasn't had a fucking hit since the beef ended. We don't even, I can't even say confidently, like, if I had to make a side prediction on this, I don't think Drake's dropping an album in 2025. Like, realistically, Drake might not drop an album. Drake, the way he's acting, that nigga might be donezo. But I do think that with the dust settling, it does leave this sense of like, who's next? And I do also think that the big question is what's next for Cole. We know what happened with J. Cole. J. Cole, he stuck his head in and then immediately bowed out. People have mixed opinions on that. Oh, he shouldn't have done that. It makes him look corny. Oh, it was smart because it got ugly. He didn't want to be involved. Whatever you think about J. Cole in this situation, the thing is, J. Cole walked away without his name really being the primary focus of this. But I think the loomingness of the fall off just still being this album that he's been teasing for so long does kind of just have this, it just looms over the whole hip hop industry because there just isn't the big name to carry it. And I think this is the time where, if Kendrick steps away again after the Super Bowl, I don't want to say goes into hiding, but Kendrick is very like, he's to himself. He doesn't post much. He doesn't do a lot of music. If Kendrick does the Super Bowl and then just shuffles back to his to his wife and kids and just, lives quietly, I think, you know, I think by default, Cole will just have to be the one to be like, hey, here's what it's about. I think, I don't think the beef will get addressed because he already dropped Port Antonio, which was kind of his just, that was his like little, oh, here's how I feel about the situation, and, you know, my qualms being the middleman. But I think J. Cole's going to use the fall off, and particularly the drop of the fall off, to drop the whole middleman thing and really carve out his own shell as, yeah, I am J. Cole. I may not be Kendrick, I may not be Drake, but I'm great. J. Cole is great. And I think he's going to drop the fall off, and people are going to remember that he's great. And the smoke from the beef is really going to be where he rises. So yeah, prediction for 2025: J. Cole drops the fall off as a surprise album. I don't know when. I want to predict the fall because the fall off, but also like I don't think he'll drop like a summertime album. So yeah, August, but somewhere between August and November, be on the lookout for that. Prediction number 2: the Superman movie directed by James Gunn that is releasing in July of 2025 will make $1 billion. That trailer went fucking viral, guys. I'm not gonna listen. Like, let's be for real though. This trailer went viral, and I feel like a lot of people like this trailer, and I feel like this movie is going to do something for Superman that we really haven't seen since the 70s. This movie being the like, I don't really know how to explain it other than saying like this Superman movie is gonna reset the fucking superhero genre back to the basics in the best way possible. Like, the MCU has dominated film for pretty much as long as a lot of people have been alive. Like, Iron Man came out in 2008, nothing was the same ever since, and we're going into 2025. A lot of people feel like there's Marvel fatigue, a lot of like people feel like there's oversaturation, and like, to whatever degree you feel oversaturation is or isn't, I do think that Marvel, having had their movies be as popular as they are and so much content, and how, I don't want to say different, but just like the Marvel projects don't necessarily feel like superhero movies anymore, or at least not all of them. I feel like a lot of them feel like they span different genres, and a lot of these feel like fantasy movies and nice sci-fi movies with the Marvel label on them, which, to be fair, is a great thing. The comic book industry is full of so many diverse types of stories and characters that Marvel being able to tell different types of stories and have diverse characters across all their films is great, because it keeps the superhero genre from feeling like it has to be this one thing that it kind of felt like it was before the MCU. But I feel like with this kind of being the bounce back for DC, and I feel like with James Gunn really taking the helm and saying, listen, we're starting the DC universe from scratch with this movie, I think this back to basic square one, like straight square jawed, I save children, I save cats from trees, I fight giant monsters, basic superhero story, but told with the type of storytelling that James Gunn is known for writing and the type of visuals that you can do in 2025. I genuinely think this movie is going to be this movie is going to make $1 billion. I'll go as far as to say I think this might be the only $1 billion movie of 2025. Like, dead ass. And not even in like a, like, if this is going to be the family movie, this is going to be the movie for those who don't like superheroes. Like, fucking Superman. People like Superman. So many people, and I feel like people don't. We've gone a long time without people realizing they like Superman. Superman is very basic, and if you like superheroes to any degree, there's really no reason you don't like Superman. Superman has this label of being boring, but a lot of people who have had to deal with telling Superman stories in the mainstream in the 21st century really didn't know how to capture the magic of Superman. And I feel like James Gunn did it with that trailer. If you haven't seen the trailer, check it out, because I genuinely think it's great. A lot of people think it's great. It's pretty much broken all the records for a fucking trailer on YouTube ever. I think this movie is going to be the $1 billion movie. I don't think I don't know if Fantastic Four is supposed to drop in 2025, but if it is, I don't think Fantastic Four is making it to $1 billion. We haven't seen any trailers or anything for it, so it's like it's hard to tell. But yeah, I think Superman. I think Superman makes $1 billion. That's my that's my prediction on that. Um, Sticking with the theme of movies, I predict that in 2025 we will get trailers. We will get trailers for the 11th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise and the sequel to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. We will get trailers for them. I don't think we're going to get release dates for them. We are not getting a trailer for Beyond the Spider Verse until early 2026. That's a hard one. That's a hard one to say out loud, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, okay, maybe the not getting a Spider Verse trailer until 2026. Um, Fast and Furious 11. I haven't heard of any delays for it. They've been filming it for a while. They started filming it, I think, beginning of this year. I remember seeing a post a long time ago. It was like Vin Diesel was posed up filming Fast and Furious 11. It's a movie that pretty much has to happen because Fast 10 ended on a cliffhanger. But oh, I also wanted to say Fast and Furious 11. The trailer will come out. It will be announced that this is the quote unquote final movie because I don't trust finals or retirements in Hollywood, but this will be the final movie, and we will hear rumblings of a spin-off series on Peacock. That's where I think Fast and Furious is going. Mutant Mayhem is just going to be a straight up like, hey, here's a sequel to that Ninja Turtles movie that we did and didn't flop, and the Shredder's in it this time. Um, those are my predictions. There, we're not getting as far. I'm not gonna lie. If this stuff with Shamik Moore did not happen, I would have suggested maybe possibly getting a Spider-Verse trailer. But this movie's definitely gonna have to take another delay while Sony has to do damage control because the fucking voice of Miles Morales wanted to be host scarer of the century. I don't know why this man decided to scoop in at the last minute and be the host scarer MVP, but he fucking did. So yeah, we're not getting that trailer till early 2026, but we might get the movie in 2026 as well. But that trailer ain't dropping this year, so you can hang it up. My next prediction: the spin-off movie to John Wick, the spin-off movie to the John Wick series, which is named Ballerina, which is coming out in the summer of 2025, will not be the financial success that they want it to be. I feel like the John Wick series is in this very weird place where the movies make money, but I don't know if like people genuinely care about the John Wick franchise if John Wick isn't around. The reason I say that is because like the John Wick series does good, but it's not one of those things that like you really hear get talked about a ton. They did a 3-part miniseries spinoff on Peacock, and I don't think it did that well. I never looked up like actual numbers or watch time for it, but I heard no one talking about it. Like I saw ads for it everywhere. Like they really wanted this to be a big thing, but I didn't hear anyone say like, "Oh yeah, I took the time to watch those." I just don't think John Wick is the type of franchise that's really going to be a franchise without Keanu Reeves and John Wick being in it. Sort of like it's like I feel like someone wants it to be like the next big action franchise where like you could put the name and like have the guy do the things or have a new girl do the things. But I think a lot of people, the charm of John Wick was just, hey, Keanu Reeves is really good at doing these fucking gunfights, and it's nice because you don't get to see Keanu Reeves do a lot of violent movies. I don't think that I don't think that feeling of enjoyment just translates over as much as they want it to. So I don't think Ballerina will do good. I do plan on seeing it. You know, I do plan on seeing it. I think it looks very interesting. Keanu Reeves is in the trailer, but I'm pretty sure it's just like an extended cameo, like passing the torch kind of thing. But I don't think Ballerina will do well. Um, my next prediction: HBO Max or Max will start an anti. They will start anti-password sharing measures. This seems pretty inevitable to me. Netflix did it; it was a success. Disney Plus and Hulu are already talking about doing it. The next one I see doing it is fucking HBO Max. Like that to me just makes the most sense. Like I don't really know what other prediction to say here other than like HBO Max is trying to keep up with the Netflix. You know, they got they've got the entire Warner Brothers. They got the entire Warner Brothers like studio backing them, but Warner Brothers studio isn't in a good spot. A lot of metrics say HBO Max isn't doing the type of numbers that they wanted to do. The shows that are on there do well for the amount of people they have, but it's not bringing in the numbers that you wanted to bring in. This is just me reading stuff like here and there. I'm not really like a financial analyst. I don't keep up with like people's stock numbers, so I really don't know. But from what I can gather and the trends I see, people who have HBO Max really like HBO Max. If you ask me, HBO Max is my favorite streaming service. I have HBO Max. I really like HBO Max. A lot of people just simply don't have it. Like they don't see the point in having it when it like trying to a streaming service that's really trying to compete with Netflix, and you got Netflix and the Disney services because Hulu and Disney are pretty much one and the same now. Netflix and Disney are just running that race, and even Disney is saying like their services lose money. So the streaming wars are definitely just in this very odd spot. I feel like HBO Max is just still trying to keep up. They're doing live TV. They've announced that they're simulcast streaming AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision as they air on cable. Um, so I definitely think between the downsizing, the gutting of Cartoon Network, the money saving measures they've been taking over like the past decade, and the way that password sharing worked out for Netflix, they might try to go down that same boat. I don't know if it will work, but I definitely see in 2025 password sharing becoming a thing. All right, on to something more fun, and a little more niche. I have two predictions for the world of pro wrestling. Actually, I have three. I didn't write one of them down. Two predictions for the world of pro wrestling. My first prediction is Braun Breaker. Yeah, Braun Breaker will become WWE champion before the end of the year. I yeah, I think Braun Breaker becomes a WWE champion before the end of the year. I think that with John Cena, I think that with this being John Cena's last year as an in-ring talent in the WWE, which he's announced, he's going full time. I think the story you have to tell with John Cena is him going for another world title win and becoming the record holder for most world title wins in WWE history. WWE currently has Ric Flair sitting at 16 world titles. They also have John Cena sitting at 16 world title wins. I think if you're going to really make a big deal, as they are making, about this being John Cena's last year, he's going to be at the premiere of Raw on Netflix. I think you have to tell that story. I think you give him two WWE title matches, and I think he can go in there and beat Braun Breaker for the WWE Championship in his final match. I think he fails at WrestleMania against Gunther, who we'll get to in a second. But I do think in his final match in December of 2025, he beats Braun Breaker to become the WWE champion, which means Braun Breaker will win the WWE championship before the end of the year, so he can lose it to John Cena. That is my prediction. It's a bit of, I don't think it's as much of a stretch as a lot of people may think it is, mainly because Braun Breaker has what it takes to be a WWE champion, and I don't think he'll be a WWE champion for a long time. I think he'll get the belt. I think he'll get a nice photo op with the belt, but I think he will mainly win the belt as a way to boost his stats, have fans get used to seeing him with the belt so they can associate him with the main event, but mainly so he can drop it to John Cena and get the boost from having a match with John Cena. So that is my prediction as far as the WWE Championship goes. I also predict that Gunther, who's the current World Heavyweight Champion, he will not lose the World Heavyweight Championship for the entire year. Gunther will walk into 2025 and walk into 2026 as World Heavyweight Champion, and it will be a continuous reign. He will not lose that title. He's not losing that belt until WrestleMania 42 in 2026, and that's a big maybe. Um, Gunther's great. I don't even know how to like explain how good he is without just showing you his matches. And Gunther has long title reigns. He spends most of his time in WWE as a champion. He was NXT UK champion for a very long time. He was an Intercontinental champion for a very long time. I can see him being a world heavyweight champion on Raw for a very long time. Like, I'm talking long enough for them to, like, he runs through the Raw roster, and then during the fucking superstar shakeup or whatever they decide to call it, the draft or whatever, they have him switch brands with whoever the WWE champion is, so that way he could just go to SmackDown and start lapping their division. Like, Gunther is going to be beating the brakes off people for an entire year. Um. So yeah, that is my prediction on Gunther. He's not losing that belt for the entire year, and he will be the one to beat John Cena at WrestleMania. That seems like the smart play to me. If you really want to have Gunther be taken as, well, I don't want to say have him be taken seriously. He is taken very seriously, but I feel like Gunther should, in this retirement run that John Cena is doing, he should be taking a loss to Gunther. Um, and my final prediction for 2025 is that we will discover a new strain of COVID. I don't think we're going to go into lockdown though. I feel like I said this last year, and it technically happened. A new strain of COVID was discovered. I feel like saying a new strain of COVID is going to get discovered next year is like the easiest layup you can have to make sure you don't get one of these fucking wrong. Because they're discovering new strains of COVID left and right. They just don't do anything about them. It's like, hey, new COVID, and everyone's like, fuck it. So yeah, just so that way I can have one of these right, because goddamn, I'm Mr. Fantastic Reach. J. Cole drops the fall off. I started this by saying J. Cole's gonna drop his album and it'll be a surprise drop. I'm fucking wrong on a lot of these. I'm very wrong on a lot of these. But new strain of COVID has got to be right. And if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I gave you 10 predictions. If I go 0 for 10, I'm a fucking L of a human. But yeah, I just want to take this moment to wish you guys a happy new year. I hope everybody had a great holiday, or still having great holidays, because it is still the holiday season. So hope everyone's having a great holiday season. I hope everyone's having a great new year. I wish you all the best in your new year, and I will try to be more consistent in the new year. K-Rock out. All right, thank you for listening to another episode of Crackhead with a Microphone. If you like it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure your notifications are on. Also follow me on TikTok and Instagram to see clips. Yeah, have a good one.